Hi, I'm Eileen Bild, and I am with Hotel Talk. And today I have Miss Beautiful Ellie Pechet. She is a metaphysician and medium, shaman, and an author with over 34 years of experience in the counseling, energy healing field. Ellie has a master's degree in counseling from Cambridge College. Welcome, Ellie.
Thank you. Nice to be with you, Eileen. I'm looking forward to our interview.
I am too. You are a co-contributor for Crappy to Happy Sacred Stories, A Transformational Joy. And you are a cat person, and your contribution had to do with your cat. So tell us how the cats have been helpful for you and part of what you do for your profession.
Well, my story is about their decline and my transition from mourning each one. Each one lived to be over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
It was about 20 and a half years. And so the story is about how I helped extend their life, each one by about 5 years, by doing various healings on them, including diabetes for one of them, so that I did not have to go the medical route. So I learned later that because I can hear the cats and we communicate together, Snickers is the one who told me that I actually extended each of their lives by about 5 years. And so that felt really good to hear. And in the story, I talk about going from being, in a very painful place, grieving them, to a place of gratitude and appreciation for them, with the understanding something that I learned, which was that they were two of my main spirit guides and had come to be with me in the physical in the form of cats for that 20 and a half years. And because the communication continued after each one transitioned, I was able to really shift into a very positive place about them, and they are here to help me fulfill my work in the world, and they're doing it in energetic form now.
That's amazing. Well, first of all, that they lived that long and that you were able to use, healing modalities and other ways of helping to extend their life. And if you could do that with cats, I could only imagine what your therapies and what you do help humans. And so I would like to learn and to talk about what you do and how impactful that has been for those that you help with their healing, the needs they have for healing. I know you have a technique called the Pechet Healing Technique, and Pechet. I always say that wrong. I'm sorry, Pechet. The Pechet Healing Technique. So tell me more about that.
Well, I am able to, a lot of it is a natural ability that I came into this life with. And I'm able to heal emotional and physical issues and conditions from, a few physical conditions that I have been successful with are shingles, chronic pain, knee problems, And the way that I succeed at healing those for my clients is by actually healing the emotional issues that have contributed to the physical manifestation. So, for example, with my client who had shingles, and she is one of the video testimonials on the homepage of my website, Linda. I actually healed her shingles in one session.
Oh, wow.
while she was in England and I was in Phoenix. And she was a little resistant to having me work with her long distance, but it worked. And it's just as effective. I mean, that's how I work with most clients, is by phone or by Skype or by Duo, whatever they prefer. I can work with a picture. And anyway, so for her, she had an emotional situation that triggered the shingles. She saw a picture of her mother holding her grandchild, and she was not allowed to see her grandchildren. And the stress of seeing the photograph of her grandmother holding her grandchild, actually her mother holding her grandchild, was the trigger for her breaking out in shingles. And it took her about 2 weeks to get the diagnosis from the medical establishment.
Wow.
And she was in a lot of pain. She had a lot of
Wow.
symptoms. And then I realized that it was the picture that had been the trigger. And when I cleared that, because she was not speaking with her mother, she was the scapegoat in her family. And so I act like a psychic investigator to get to whatever the underlying issues are for the physical symptoms or conditions. And that's how in that one session I was able to completely clear all of her symptoms of shingles.
That's amazing. I'm thinking that with your years of practice and working with people, that you would agree, if not all, if not most, then all physical ailment is tied to a core emotional attachment to something that triggers whatever is going on in the body. Does that sound ring true for you?
That's often the case, and that's how I've also been successful with healing clients who had different stages of cancer. One client, Sharon, had very fast-moving cancer, and I realized pretty quickly that the underlying emotional issues for her breast cancer were resentment connected to her father. And so I worked with her a number of sessions twice a week and was able to actually get the cancer to go in reverse. Wow. And she's been about 8 years in full remission.
That's awesome. I would agree that, emotions and thoughts, I think, are more powerful than people realize.
Yeah.
And when you as a practitioner have that aha, I would think it almost gives you a sense of hope, that, or not even better than hope, a knowing that you can help this person, whoever they are and what they're suffering, because that emotional connection to the physical ailment is, in your awareness, uh, very much tied together. So it's almost like you're untying the knot that keeps everything in one place. Um, what would you say that is really pivotal for your technique, that's the key in having such fast results? I mean, people can suffer from trauma in the body for years and years and years, and yet it seems you're able to hone in very quickly on what the root cause is, and then quickly get it, heal the person, or at least put the person on a healing path.
No, I actually heal the issue. I completely dissolve it, whatever it is, or whatever the issues are. So same thing. I had a client who called me on a Sunday because her sister-in-law had been readmitted to the hospital. She had the coronavirus, and it shifted into pneumonia. And so she told her husband to, make preparations for her death. And so when her sister-in-law called me, who was an active and still is an active client, I worked with her yesterday. She's in Rhode Island. I realized it was truly a matter of life and death. And so even though it was a Sunday, I did a double session with her sister-in-law. And by the next day she was released from the hospital. Wow. And in stable condition, and she's doing fine.
That must be so rewarding for you to know that you can have such a powerful impact on people and literally save their lives. Yes. So I'm curious, when did you realize you had this gift?
It's been a gradual, not just an unfolding, but an increase of my abilities over the last 30 years, plus 30 plus years. So my abilities are increasing, and that's why I'm able to be so effective and so quickly.
So did you have an experience in your life that activated or you became more aware of your capability in the healing field?
It's been a series of events, if you want to call it that, and doing my own healing, and that's the path of a natural born shaman, is going through a series of fires and being stronger when I would come out on the other side.
Right. So I would think that it's almost like you have this innate sensation and feeling, and I don't know, do your palms ever heat up, or do you have other signs that tell you, this is real, this is working, this is um, uh, bringing something bigger than what we are as humans into the process?
Could you repeat the question?
Repeat that. Okay. Do you find that you have sensations yourself, when as the healer? So like your palms getting warm, or just this strong, powerful energy that's going through you or coming through you, or something that this is bigger than what we are as humans, that it's almost like a collaborative effort of kind of, I like to say, the universe and the human aspect and the other person that's working together to help this person heal.
Well, the work that I do is very high level. Right. And I do have a team of guides that work with me to accelerate and enhance the healing work I do with clients. So it's definitely a collaborative effort, but a lot of it is many past lifetimes that I have been a healer, and whether it was being a medicine woman, or being a full-on healer, being the shaman for my tribe, and clearing negative energies for the people in the tribe. I have a lot of memories and of what I did in past lifetimes. So that all comes into play when I'm working with clients now. So when I work with people, they can expect definite results and in a timely way.
That's good to know. That's almost it's almost for a client and for yourself, just kind of a relief. It's different from the traditional medical community kind of approach towards healing. And it's almost
The opposite end of the spectrum when
right.
you think of what I do compared to the medical. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's almost like you allow and enable that surrender to for that process to effectively take place, and not trying to make something happen, but allowing it to.
Well, I actually am making it happen. I am actually dissolving whatever the issue is, and so what happens is I first I intuit what the actual issue is that needs to be healed that session, and then I focus. I work with the client in a highly focused way, dissolving whatever the issue is that has been identified. And I use a number scale, and usually the issue will start out at an 8 or a 9 or a 10, and they'll feel it becoming less as I'm working with them during the session. And by the end of me working with them, it's usually down to a 0 or a 1, and they feel a lot better. They are in a deeply relaxed state. They're balanced. I've raised their vibration.
Mm.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, if only everyone did that, right? I mean, if we had more of a traditional way of looking at our physical challenges, I think we maybe would have a happier society.
Much
Um,
happier, much
right?
happier.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when people feel good, in their body and also emotionally and also spiritually, they have more to give. They're just naturally more positive, and my goal is that to help my clients contribute more, not only for themselves and their families, but for society.
Mhm. Yeah, there's definitely a connection with that, because if we're walking around in pain and distress, we kind of miss living, right? We kind of miss um, being a part of that flow that life is all about, and we become disconnected from that. Um, so that leads me into thinking about all the natural destruction that's going on in the world. And I know that you work with wildlife groups all over the world, and you work with the fires and some of the other natural calamities that have happened, or some of them man-made caused. Um, Tell me more about that.
Well, I work with whatever it is that spirit feels is the highest priority at the time, and so spirit will find a way to get my attention for what it is that needs healing. So it could be um, a whale and her calf who needed healing back in the spring, and then um, and um, her calf, her daughter had been hit by a boat and suffered a severe gash in her jaw, and she was nursing. She needed that jaw to be working and not in pain so that she could nurse. And so I did several healings with the calf on the jaw, and was able to heal it to where she was able to nurse and thrive. And I also worked with the mother and cleared her uh, her anguish about her daughter, having that very serious accident and injury. That was one project. Another project I did in the summer was when Trump's sons persuaded him to push back protections for wildlife in Alaska who are on preserves. I went in there, and this happened. I worked with them over a couple of weeks with the wildlife, such as caribou who swim in the water. It's just one of the things that they do. And Trump had rolled back a protection where hunters could go after them, even swimming in the water. And I communicated with the caribou, and I actually was able to get them to shapeshift and dissolve so that hunters coming after them could not see them and would turn their boats around and head the other way. I also worked with the bears and was able to reduce their scent so that they couldn't be tracked by dogs and hunters. And I also worked with the wolves and the coyotes and the foxes whose protections were being undone by this move that Trump did. And I communicated with each wildlife group to let them know, I warned each one that this had happened and that the protections that they had been experiencing were no longer in effect for now.
Got it.
So I also was able to get out there and get the traps, see allowed trapping again on preserves. It makes no sense. But of course, a lot of things that he has done and continue to do make absolutely no sense. But I was able to get the traps to go off so that animals wouldn't be injured and caught in them. So that was a big deal. That was in June. And who else? There's always work to do as far as communicating with whichever group it is, whales, turtles, healing them. I was able to get signs posted for a turtle crossing that I discovered going over a bridge in two towns near where I live, Norwell and Hanover. And that was a big deal. And the cats helped me, get those signs in place and helped get the both towns to agree to have the signs posted to let people know they need to slow down when they approach this bridge. It's hard enough for turtles to cross a bridge, and I also, with a friend, picked up garbage for, in the ravine where the turtles would come out of the water and then crawl up the ravine and then have to cross the bridge. So we filled garbage bags full of garbage that had accumulated there over decades.
Wow. I'm surprised, nobody did a cleanup prior to that if it'd been collecting for that long. I mean, I would think that would be an eyesore as well as a danger to all wildlife, not just the turtles.
Right.
Interesting. So it sounds like, your mission, purpose in life is to really help animals and humans alike to be in the world in the best possible way and to save a lot of these animals from possible extinction or harm by humans, and to really be available and be present for the human aspect of helping them to see that other kind of level of being able to have hope and the possibility of healing in a way that's quick, efficient, and opens them up to another whole world. I mean, I'd be curious for the people that you have and have had as clients, how do they perceive the world now when they have such quick turnaround time in their healing?
Ah, oh, that's a good question. Well, um, and actually, before I answer that, I wanted to mention if people, should I mention my website and?
When we're finished, yes,
Oh, sure, sure.
we'll put that in at the end. Yes, ma'am.
All right, good. Because they can also go to my Healing Pets and Wildlife page to learn more about the work I do with wildlife and with pets. Yeah,
That should be interesting. Yeah, we'll definitely put that in at the end.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, your question with the human clients that I work with, they feel better. They feel more able to cope when I work with them. And I'm working a lot with families right now.
I can
Work with
imagine.
them, yeah, individually. So I'm working with a woman who has a 24-year-old son, who's got some childhood issues that I'm going to be clearing for him. He's got depression and anger issues, and those are the kinds of things, unresolved issues that lead young people to do drugs, have suicidal thoughts, be destructive. And I'm working with her, with the mother this afternoon, and then I'm working with her son, who's in his 20s, using his picture because he's not organized enough to show up and to meet with me on Skype. I'm also going to be working with her husband remotely using his picture also this afternoon. I reserved 3 times for each of them. And he also has childhood issues. So that's what drives a lot of people's behavior, their actions, their attitudes, feeling invisible, feeling like they don't matter, they don't count. Those are some of the types of things that I clear for people emotionally.
Yeah, I would say probably 90 to 95% of the human population has some attachment to at least one. Most people, it's probably multiple experiences in which the emotion they still carry today, and it's a negative emotion, and it impacts, their decision making and their actions and how they respond. And so to have the ability to clear that out in a day, oh my gosh. I mean,
Oh,
I
well,
mean,
I
not
don't.
all the time. Like, no, I know, not all the time, but to clear it out quickly.
Well, I what I do is, and I offer discount packages for people that I work with. What I do is I clear, and this is what I guess what sets me apart from most other healers is I have the ability to clear one issue every session. So it could be anger or depression, or it could be, abandonment. I cleared that a couple of days ago for another client. But whatever the biggest issue is what I clear that session for that client.
Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. So, do you have any like words of wisdom for people who would like to kind of live life to the fullest, and to start to look through a different lens of how they perceive things?
Yeah, resolve your issues. Resolve your issues, whether it's um, you know an ex, a former relationship. I just did a couple of sessions with a young woman who was still very attached to her ex-boyfriend. and it was keeping her from moving forward. And that's what unresolved issues do. They are on the energetic level, they're emotional, they're physical, and they keep people from feeling at peace and from living their life.
I can't agree with you more. It's so important. So thank you, Ellie, for being with us. And now you can let people know where they can find you and your website.
Sure. My website is phoenixrisinghealing.com, phoenixrisinghealing.com, and my phone number is 508-237-4929.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing with us, all the wonderful healing that you're doing for animals and humans alike. And, if we could just get more people to be able to do that and share the love of humanity and the love of animals, to be concerned enough to do whatever little part or big part for the whole. So thank you, and we will definitely see you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you for the interview, Eileen. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.